How does the US use electronic warfare in the air and at sea?
While the small jet is the tip of the spear before the US sends its high-value aircraft into battle. But what strategies does it actually use to blind enemy radar?
First, it can use spot jamming to completely overwhelm the enemy sensors. Second option is it can also create a digital.
And the military has another third trick up its sleeve, beaming fleets of fake jets directly onto the enemy's radar screens. But they don't just fire up these electronic weapons blindly. Here's the secret. They've been mapping the enemy's radar systems
before transferring all that data directly into these targeting pods being flown by these jets,
where the electronic warfare officer controls all the active jamming pods. The rear seat occupant, known as the ECMO.
While the pilot flies the jet, the ECMO controls all jamming systems in real time.
He can use spot jamming to disable a radar like this one. Once the Growler's sensors sniff out the exact frequency of an enemy radar, it doesn't just make noise.
It focuses over 10 kilowatts of raw electromagnetic power directly at it. It burns through the system's processing like a blowtorch.
But the Growler also can emit the Phantom Fleet. It doesn't just blind the enemy, it plays mind games.
It catches an incoming radar pulse, scrambles the data, and fires it right back. Suddenly, the radar
Panic sets in, surface-to-air missiles are fired, but they lock onto Phantoms, detonating empty sky. But how does it use the bait-and-switch strategy?
Even if an enemy missile actually manages to lock onto a real US jet, the Growler pulls a massive bait and switch. It perfectly mimics the targeted jet's exact speed and location to create a digital clone. Once the enemy radar locks on, the tracking system blindly chases the ghost and the real aircraft escapes unharmed.
If a US jet flies too close to the enemy radar, usually within 20 to 60 miles, the sheer power of that's why the Growler has to maintain a perfect high-stakes geometric dance, constantly hovering right on the razor's edge of the threat zone.
But what is the step-by-step strategy the US military launches the plane? Before a single fighter jet.
For weeks, US spy planes and satellites have been hovering just out of reach. Back at command, planners aren't just drawing flight paths on a map. They are navigating a deadly 3D maze.
They calculate massive threat rings around every enemy missile system. Then they plot exact coordinates
And blast their jamming signals without getting shot down. When the strike package finally launches, it is a highly choreographed machine.
You have the Growlers for electronic attack, F-35s and Super Hornets carrying the bombs, and specialized jets loaded with radar-killing missiles.
Every single aircraft has a precise location, altitude, and down to the second timeline. There is no guesswork.
3 minutes to target. The Growlers reach their standoff positions 50 to 100 miles out. They unleash a massive wave of broadband noise. The goal right now isn't to hide. It's to blind the enemy's big picture view before the real raid even begins. 15 minutes out. The strike fighters push into the kill zone, and the Growlers move in to escort them.
The jamming shifts from a blunt sledgehammer to a scalpel. They inject fake targets into the Iranian screens and scramble their speed and distance readings.
The radar operators are drowning in signals, completely unable to tell which blips are real aircraft and which are digital ghosts.
Now the enemy faces a terrifying dilemma. If an Iranian operator realizes they are being jammed,
they paint a giant bullseye on their own back. US jets instantly fire a supersonic harm missile that rides that radar beam all the way to the source.
The enemy's choice is impossible. Turn off your radar and be blind, or leave it on and be destroyed.
While the radars are blinded, the Growlers are also severing the enemy's vocal cords. They jam the communication networks.
Even if a rogue battery spots a US jet, they can't get clearance to fire, and they can't warn their allies.
Bombs away, but the danger isn't over. As the strike jets pull up to escape, they are low, slow, and highly vulnerable.
others don't let up. coordinated from space to the ground, the coalition was able to inject false data directly into Iranian radar screens.
To a panicked Iranian radar operator staring at a chaotic screen, these tiny drones look
Ultimately, the Iranian air defense network wasn't just suppressed, it was completely dismantled, at least for the time period.
Locked down by the Russian-made S-300 anti-system, a beast capable of swatting aircraft out of the... The S-300 operators at Captain Manuel Rios Air Base were blind before they ever saw the missiles coming. While the Pentagon hasn't officially disclosed the specific hardware, military experts often call this a... The weapon, probably carried by a Chinook or a Black Hawk helicopter, fires a focused beam of pulsed microwave energy and fluid in her ear. Causing immediate vertigo. At higher power levels, that rapid tissue expansion can rupture capillary.
These waves travel through the body and match the resonant frequency of internal organs like the stomach or lungs.
When those bubbles collapse, they create tiny shock waves that damage tissue.
Tactically, the report suggests U.S. forces use this technology as the ultimate force multiplier. The result was that the hundreds of Venezuelan guards mentioned in the reports,
They were incapacitated, sick, dizzy, and bleeding long before U.S. troops made contact. This allowed a